Greatest of evenings, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is the fourth episode in the installments of the Law Offices of Mario A. Reed, the Education Esquire, and all of the many topics in which we cover. Today's episode is going to discuss the actual process of opening a brokerage account in the name of the trust. This is something which is very important. Anyone who's ever came to our office and started a trust oftentimes is informed about the possibility and the capability to start a brokerage account in the name of your trust. So I wanted to do this video because a lot of times we haven't been introduced or explained how to go about this process. Many of us will then go to financial institutions and attempt to open the brokerage account in the name of the trust with those institutions. But unfortunately, the people who are at the branch, they don't actually know or understand exactly what's being asked for. So because of that, I decided it's really important that I do this video that will show you step by step how to go about opening up that brokerage account online yourself. So you don't even need to involve anyone else. So in getting started, I'm going to share my screen, and there are going to be times where I am going to be blurring it out, and that's because it's going to ask for my social. So in an effort to not run into any issues where somebody's trying to steal my identity, I'm going to be blurring that or just not showing that part. But I'm going to continue talking through what the process looks like so you'll be able to see it. So in sharing my screen, the first step is very simple. Just go to Google and type in Charles Schwab Trust Brokerage Account. Now, I want to take this time to indicate that I'm not advertising for Charles Schwab. I don't have any stock in Charles Schwab. I don't particularly care for them, other than they are the only company that I found where you can open up that brokerage account yourself online, and it's not cumbersome or overwhelming in terms of the experience. So you're just going to go and then you're going to scroll to where it says trust, estate, and charitable accounts. As you can see, it says I visit it often. It's something that I do regularly because in trying to help individuals see and understand the process, that's what this is about. I also want to take this time to point out that this is not financial advice. I'm not encouraging anybody to go and open up a brokerage account if you don't want to. I don't care. However, for those of us who were never educated about it, I do want the information to be accessible. So again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not interested in your financial situation other than I want for you to get money, much like I want to get money myself, which is why I've taken advantage of this. If you don't want to, that's perfectly okay by me as well. I support you in your decision to stay exactly where you're at financially, and I don't really care. For those who do want to take advantage of the information, that's what this video is all about. So you'll click on where it says trust, estate, and charitable accounts. Now, it's important that you do your own research. That's the other part of this. I'm only showing you this because there aren't many helpful resources and individuals out there who are doing it the step by step. I want to fill that gap, but I also want to encourage you to go and educate yourself. Go do your homework. Spend some time. I've spent countless hours, over probably 1,000 hours, in researching about brokerage accounts and gaining an understanding about all of this. I want to truncate and condense that information to help you with the specifics, but I do not want you to shortcut it and not do your own research. Now, in diving into it, we're going to select trust account. Plan ahead and simplify the management and protection of your assets. Learn more about trust accounts. You're welcome to actually read those. When you see those hyperlinks, go ahead and read it. It's okay. We're going to open a trust account. If there are two co-trustees, meaning you and a companion or you and a spouse decided to start your trust, you'll select that option. In this case, it's just me, so I'm going to select single trustee. In doing so, it's then going to start to ask questions. It's a wizard format. It's very simple, very user-friendly, very comprehensible. It's telling me, what can you do with a living trust? For estates of any size, this brokerage account works with your trust to help prepare the way for easier management and protection of your assets after your passing. What are the costs of opening a living trust account? Zero monthly service fee and zero account minimum. A lot of people ask, well, how much do I need to start it? Here's your answer. It's right there in black and white. What do you need to open a living trust account online? Your revocable living trust tax ID number, original date and governing state, digital copy of the certificate of trust or the first and signature pages of the trust document, your social security number, your employer's name, and mailing address, if applicable. So I'm going to click Get Started. There's the information. In addition to being the single trustee, are you also the grantor? In this case, the answer is yes. It's not always that case. 95 out of 100 times, it is going to be the case where you're the grantor and you're the trustee and you're the beneficiary during your lifetime. But in this scenario, it's definitely the case. You want to look at your documentation. The documents that you receive, ideally from your attorney, should specify who's the grantor and who's the trustee. Are you the only grantor of this trust? The answer is yes, I am the only grantor, meaning I'm the person who gave some type of value or consideration to the name of the trust in order for the trust to be funded. I'm going to click Continue. Personal information. I'm going to type in my name. It's Mario, middle initial A, last name is Reed. Suffix, it gives you all of your different suffixes. Thankfully, I have that ESQ. So every chance I get to use it, I'm going to go ahead and use it. I worked really hard for it, went through a lot, so I'm definitely going to take full advantage. Is your current home address in the United States? Yes, it is. My date of birth is October 29th, 1981. I'm sure a lot of people are saying, well, you shouldn't share that. It's pretty easy to find that information. Now, I am going to stop the share, and that's because I'm going to be putting in my social security number. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't want anybody stealing my identity, and since you already got all that information, I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Now, I am going to go ahead and type in my email address, marioareed@outlook.com. I get a lot of clients who want to call and reach out, and I cannot stress enough, please email. Email is the fantastic tool that helps everybody. I get people who say, we talked about something 6 months ago. Do you remember? The answer is no, absolutely, I don't remember. But if you emailed me, I don't have to remember. I can type in the subject line and recall it. The other thing is that email prevents the he said, she said. I had a client come in recently and said, hey, you agreed to give me a refund of $2,000. I don't have any recollection of that. Whereas had we have had that conversation via email, I could have said, yeah, here it is right here. And more importantly, the client could have said, here's proof that he said this. And by all means, I'm willing to honor anything that I say. But the issue is that when we cannot show documentation to that effect, it makes it challenging. I want to protect everybody, you, me, and the conversation and the integrity of the conversation that happened. So I'm hitting continue. I've typed in my personal information and then I hit continue. It says it looks like you already have a Schwab login and password for your security and make your application easier. Log in to continue. So now which one I'm going to go ahead and type in that information. So I've never actually had to go through this before, but it's because I was doing my first one. All right, so now we are starting over again. And then it's telling and showing me all the information. So it already has a lot of my information set up. All right, perfect. So in this instance, if you already have a Charles Schwab account, apparently it wants to use that information. So that actually works out very well. It already had my information. So then I'm going to type in the legal name of the trust. And the legal name of the trust in this instance is Living the Dream Legacy Revocable Living Trust. And now, again, I'm going to go ahead and not share the trust tax identification number simply because I don't want somebody causing issues with that. But you'll have that information yourself. It should be a part of your certification of trust. Here in Illinois, it's called a certification of trust. In other states, it might be called certificate of trust. But here in Illinois, we call it a certification of trust. That comes directly from the law. So whenever it is that we're talking about these trusts, all of that is governed by the Illinois Trust Code. The Illinois Trust Code went into effect just a few years ago. I believe it was 2022, either 2022 or 2021. But it's a case where all of these details come from somewhere. It's not an instance where, we're kind of just making it up as we go along. We go to the trust code and look at what it says to do. And then we draft and prepare our documents consistent with that trust code. That's pretty much how the law works in every facet, or is supposed to work in every facet. Now, I will admit, sometimes we run into instances, especially when people are just unfamiliar with the law, where they want to just kind of wing it and make up their own set of circumstances. That's not how it's supposed to go. We're all working with the law, supposed to be working with the law. And whatever that law says, that's what we're supposed to be adhering to. So it's asking for the taxpayer identification number. It's asking for the state that the trust is governed by. And then it's asking for the original date of trust. That original date of trust should be a part of the name. So in this case, it's the Living the Dream Legacy Revocable Living Trust, which is dated July 11th, 2023. And then it's asking, has the trust document been changed? The answer in this case is no. Is the trust the 10% shareholder of a publicly traded company? The answer is no. Liquid net worth of the trust, potentially that's zero. In this instance, the trust actually does own assets with Merrill Lynch as well as bank accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and put in what the amount is. And then annual income of the trust, potentially it might be zero as well. But in this case, there's annual income that's owned by this trust. So we're going to go ahead and put in what that amount is. And then we're going to hit continue. That's the information that it's asking. It's not asking for a heck of a whole lot. It's very, very simple in terms of what it's asking. It's information that you know the answers to. So I'm going to go ahead and share it. And then it's going to show the next screen. It's asking, help us verify your revocable living trust. We're going to do it with the certificate of trust. Upload all the pages of your certificate of trust. Do not upload the entire trust document. That's because your trust document is private. You shouldn't be sharing that information. If you're running into instances when people are asking for it, you should be very leery. Your trust is a secure document. It talks about all the personal details and instructions that you have. So now we're going to drag your document here, browse your files. So I'm going to come here and go to documents. I'm going to type in SCOT, and then I'm going to bring up my the PDF of my certification of trust. That certification of trust is a very short document. It's 7 pages, even with the taxpayer identification number, and it typically ends up being 9, maybe 10 pages. But I'm going to hit continue. You saw how fast it opened it up. Now, regulatory. Why are you opening this account? Why are you opening a living trust? Well, investing of trust assets, and then tax benefits, distribution of trust assets, payment of trustee compensation, pooled assets, other purpose. I'm not going to do that because then it wants me to type in something. What are the sources of funds for your living trust account? Well, it's going to be my salary and wages. I don't qualify for Social Security yet. Sale of property business, maybe. Family, relatives, or inheritance, maybe. Investment of capital gains, maybe. Gifts, absolutely. Gambling or lottery, sports betting, sure. And then I'm going to hit continue. So you can click as much as you want. You don't have to. It already has my occupation and employer. The law offices of Mario Reed. I'm in the legal profession. I'm a legal professional. So thankfully that's in there. You would have to type that information in. So because I already have an account, that's the reason why I didn't have to type it in, but you would have had to have typed it in. Are you a member of the board of directors, 10% shareholder, or policy-making officer of a public held company? The answer is no, I'm not. Are you or is anyone with the beneficial interest in account employed by or associated with or registered? Nope. FINRA? Nope. A stock exchange? Nope. Most people do not need to answer yes. So the answer is no. Now it's asking about how do you want to get this information? Well, I want statements. I'll take a paper copy. I don't need trade confirmations as a paper copy. I don't need shareholder materials. I do need tax forms. It also asks, do you want checks or a debit card? This is important because you can actually use your brokerage account to make purchases with the cash that's in it. It works similar to a checking account. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take checks, and I'm going to take between 5 and 10, and then I'm going to take a debit card because I want to be able to show that to people. So now I'm only doing that simply for illustrative purposes, not because I actually want that, but because in the profession that I'm in and the questions that I get, I want to have it to be able to show people. So I'm glad that I'm doing it this way. I'm going to hit continue. Would you like to make this a margin account? I'm going to select yes, but I want to tell you, this is not something that you should do without first researching. Again, I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a financial licensed individual. I'm doing this for education. I'm going to select margin. You need to make the decision for yourself. If you don't understand it or know about it, you need to go and hire a financial planner. You need to go and consult with the financial professional. This is something that I cannot stress to you. It's so imperative that you have a full understanding And if you need to pay somebody to get that full understanding, then do so. Go make sure that they have either the credentials or there's somebody who can help you fully understand it. I'm not going to do options because I don't know how to do it. I'm not interested in learning in this instance, but I can always go back and change it. Would you like to enable this account for trading on Think or Swim? In this case, I'm not interested in that, so I'm going to click no. I'm then going to hit continue. Now I'm going to stop this. Nope, I'm going to, there we go. So thankfully I didn't stop the share. It's still there. Now it's asking me all of the terms and conditions. So go through and read these terms. Make sure you understand it. I've done this before, so I'm familiar with it, but you need to be familiar as well. So in going through and checking these check boxes, I'm now accepting the terms and conditions of Charles Schwab. And in doing so, I've never been notified by the IRS that I'm subject to backup withholding. And then you're going through and you're checking everything. Read the information. Don't just pencil whip it, because later on, if you come back like, oh, I didn't know this, it's because you pencil whipped it. Make certain that you go and read it. This information is there for your protection and for the protection of Charles Schwab. So you're going to hit continue. I'm going to stop the share just to make sure that it doesn't bring up any of my personal sensitive information. All right, perfect. So now I'm going to start my share again. And I want to make sure everybody sees what's showing up. Share. Share. It's telling me that they're reviewing my application. And then your application is currently being reviewed, Mario. We're reviewing your request for a Schwab One Trust account. And I'm done. I've literally just went through the process to open up a brokerage account with Charles Schwab in the name of my trust. For a lot of people that run into issues, if you run into issues with the different companies, the Chases of the world, the Merrill Lynches of the world, Bank of America, or Fifth Third, US Bank, Citibank, any of those different entities, do not fight with them. Do not put yourself out in order to take advantage of it, because Charles Schwab is saying, we'll help you do it. We'll do it easy. It's super easy. It took probably less than 5 minutes to just go through that. You just need to have your certification of trust as a PDF and then putting your information. It's super easy. And that's the reason why I wanted to create this video, because I want for people to know. Thank you for tuning in. If you have other questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments of this YouTube video. We're going to be sharing this with all of our clients, as well as be sharing it online. It's something that you can have to take away. It's easy, and it's simply a matter of you taking the necessary steps in order to do so. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you at future knowledge movements and everything else that we have going on. We want to educate to elevate, but knowledge is only power when applied. Have a great one and take care.